Hi everyone, this is Anthony O'Flynn coming to you live from Sunshine Coast, and it's been a pretty big day actually for several reasons. Thought I'd do a live video to share this quote firstly from Plato that popped up on my feed in that memory section that shows you stuff you posted years ago. I made this post in 2014 sharing this quote from Plato: "Those who are able to see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed by the masses." And what struck me about that was that I shared that in 2014. Obviously it's from Plato, it's much older than 2014, but the point is that 6 years later, in terms of our relationship to the power structure on this planet, to what's really going on, to the hidden hand that's organising many of the control systems in this reality, has been radically and dramatically exposed. And the theme of this video basically is optimism and hope, because yes, it's a very bleak situation at the moment around the world, particularly in Melbourne with what's happening. I'm in Cotton Tree at the moment. This is my neighbourhood here on the Sunshine Coast, just taking in a bit of sights and sounds in the background there. It's a great place, Cotton Tree, because it's where the beach and the river meet, and yeah, it's very special, very privileged, with a lot of gratitude to actually live here. So there's a lot of pessimism I've seen in the awakening community at the moment, a lot of bleakness, a lot of despair, and rightly so. We are facing very difficult times, major sources of oppression influencing our daily lives, and there's a whole range of different issues that are impacting on us that are not for our well-being or for the greater good of the society by design. But compared to where we were in 2014, this is like a completely different game, because 2020 has brought with it the most profound catalyst that I have seen in my greater than 20-year journey into these topics, into this awareness around all the issues, or at least some of them, that we're confronted with what's going on today. And going back 20 years ago, there was really no point mentioning ritual pedophilia to anybody, because even though that's going on back then, and obviously way, way beyond that, people just wouldn't listen to you. And now this topic has been blown open by the mainstream media with accusations against religious figures, entertainers, bankers, celebrities, socialites, business people. It's not a secret anymore. And many of the people who are still in denial of some of these topics that's going around, various topics, numerous, and yet they have confidence in the mainstream media. Well, this information is now being reported in the mainstream media continually. And this quote from Plato is significant, because many people who I know have been on this journey for many, many years are actually looking at 2020 from a very positive perspective. And it's actually many of the people that have only come online with this reality that are actually the ones really in a state of despair. There is more to be optimistic about now, more to be, to be hopeful for than ever before. And this is because of the draconian laws, the various measures and restrictions that have been imposed worldwide. So for this reason, if we can look at it from this point of view, 2020 has been a huge gift in a way that we don't always see if we don't have the eyes to see it. And even as I saw this quote today, sure enough, that with the synchronicities that are occurring in rapid motion today, two things happened just later on today confirming this. And the first one is that this Omnibus bill that's been introduced, that's the pool, they do like water aerobics or something, today at Victorian Parliament has been dropped. Now, it hasn't been dropped completely, but it will be amended. But the important thing to understand is that the great work that so many people have been doing and exerting political pressure on the government, on the members of Parliament in Victoria, has led, at the very least, to this bill being dramatically amended, which is a really big win. And everyone should be looking at the positive things with this, because the awakening community needs to understand the nature of lobby groups and the function of lobby groups, because lobby groups and their function is basically to exert political pressure legally, methodically, and with a clear outcome. And it's no use haphazardly making efforts to try to exert political pressure. It needs to be done forensically and methodically. And some of the efforts that I've seen, particularly in regard to this bill, this Omnibus bill, have been absolutely fantastic in regard to this. Because sure, we can look at the downside of it, that the bill's being amended, but the reality is that the bill has been dropped. And this is a huge win, because if you're not aware, basically the Labor government in Victoria and Premier Daniel Andrews was attempting to pass a bill that would allow security guards that weren't even trained police to arrest people if they, quote, reasonably believed that someone was about to or was going to commit an offence. Now, that may sound like something out of a science fiction movie like Minority Report, but that's what they were intending to do, to actually arrest people before they'd actually committed a crime. And it's remarkable that anyone would even try to introduce a bill like that. I don't even understand how that could ever be prosecuted in a court of law if you have to be guilty beyond reasonable doubt of committing a crime when you haven't even committed it in the first place, how that could ever be held up in a court of law. But that's another matter for someone who understands the nature of law itself, which is not me. But the important thing here is to consider that because of the political pressure and the crossbench in the upper house, the Legislative Council in Victoria, that this bill was dropped, that's fantastic news. And everyone should look at that as what happens from the positive perspective, that that's what happens when you get engaged in the political process and you exert political power, lawfully, willfully, because that's where the laws get passed or get rejected by the actual members of Parliament. And this is really important to take into account, that because we've been so apathetic here in Australia for so many years, it's really part of the national egregore, the collective psyche, that we've allowed a lot of this abuses of power to go unchecked, unregulated. And this is ending now, of course. And for the people who are still skeptical about what's happening at the bigger picture, the revelations of what's been going on this planet in terms of truth and all these other issues is only going to increase. This is a one-way ticket. Many of us have been waiting for a long time for this, but that's Mount Coolum in the background, by the way. It's awesome. Great view up there. This is only going to accelerate, and we are in a process now where all of this hidden agenda, this dark agenda, everything that's been done by cloak and dagger through deception is actually coming to an end. This time is coming to an end. And the second thing that happened today was Donnie T, whose name you many people would say you can't even really mention without people getting completely triggered, because they automatically assume you're a Trump supporter even if you mention anything he does, which shows a deep limitation and a really childish attitude to politics and also belief systems, by the way. But Donald has actually called for the declassified of any and all Russian collusion documents, and also any and all documents of the FBI's investigation into Hillary Rodham Clinton. And that is completely massive. There's the election campaign right there. Because grab your popcorn, because what's going to come out when this is declassified, and obviously I'm assuming this is going to happen fairly quickly, is that those documents are going to be like an earthquake as far as what revelations and what official secrets have been kept there up until now. So this means that once they're declassified, they're open to anyone in the public reviewing them, and obviously they'll be published in the media, or at least some of the media. So this is really two promising signs that are happening just today, and I expect that this trend will continue and actually accelerate radically as we go forward in 2020 and beyond. In many ways, this has really only just begun. We've been building up to this perhaps for, since December 21st, 2012, since around that period, if not earlier. But definitely now we're in the acceleration phase, and people are going to be a little bit shocked as to what's going to be revealed in the coming weeks, months, years, as to the nature of some of the nefarious activities that have been conducted by stealth on this planet. And it cannot be stopped, and it cannot be manipulated or twisted or anything. This is the cosmic cycle that's actually unfolding here. So I'm really excited to see some of these unfold, and you're going to see it unfolding in the mainstream. This is not something that is esoteric or hidden or some kind of conspiracy theory. This is just simply fact, undisputable, irrefutable fact. So from my point of view, really there is so much to look forward to in terms of having a transparent, accountable government, and we're really going to see a greater call for that for the wider community, because we can see that there are many people in legal circles around the world now that are starting to challenge the actual official health policy and the narrative of the legality of the government's actions around the world. And this is really another sign that we are actually stepping forward into this new paradigm, and it will be a process. And it's really a lot of people who are being disheartened perhaps don't see things from a longer term view. And I would suggest that where we are at now, although the glass could be viewed as being half empty, the glass can also be viewed as being half full, depending upon our perspective, and perhaps also our history and an understanding of the wider aspects and the broader agenda that's unfolding at a more global, and even from the perspective of the solar system itself, because we are entering now a different subtle reality on this planet, which will in turn affect the physical reality dramatically. So that's really the message for this video, and stay tuned for more. It's an exciting time to be here. Stay optimistic. Really important to stay resilient now. Don't get bogged down too much in the details, the data that's coming out all the time. It can be just a little bit overwhelming, and take time out for your mental health, for your emotional well-being. So important. Big news today also is that I'll also be running a workshop at Paradigm Shift Summit this year. It's the 5th Paradigm Shift Summit, and I've never run a workshop until this year. And that will be on Monday afternoon. It's a 3-hour workshop, and the details obviously on the website. I'll put that in the comments. And yeah, it's navigating the shift, which we can't ignore this anymore. Even people who are trying to bury their head in the sand and pretend that everything is business as usual, it's far from it. And really the goal is to navigate the shift with ease and grace. That's the theme of this workshop, many different levels. So I'll talk about that more when I've got more to say. But thanks for watching, and as always, we live in epic times.